thanks, listeners, for joining us on a beautiful Friday heading into the weekend and the Sportsman's Expo. It's time to get all caught up with Julie Gabrielson, our conservation educator with Nevada Department of Wildlife. Julie, welcome, and I know your hair's on fire trying to get this thing all put together.
Hot and heavy, man. It's happening. The Elko Sportsman's Expo is this weekend, both Saturday and Sunday. And on Saturday we're open from 9 to 5, Sunday from 10 to 2, and that's all at the Elko Conference Center. It's co-hosted by our local chapter, Ruby Mountain Rios of the National Wild Turkey Federation. This is 10 years that we've had this show. It's actually 12 years old, but with the pandemic, we had 2 years of a hiatus. So it's our 10th actual show. We're super excited. We are sold out on vendor space, so you really need to come down and check it out. It's free for the public with a free youth activity room. Kids can experience, and ultimately, to some extent, kids of all ages can experience an archery range. It is a very short archery range just because we are limited on space in there. A pellet gun range. They get free t-shirts that they can color and take home. There's fly tying that they get to experience, as well as all kinds of wildlife education. We've got a really cool addition this year with the Williams Gun Museum. He's bringing out a small collection of his guns to talk about and show to the public. And they are for demo only. They are not for sale. But I'm super excited to have him included in on that and to help, prompt some more interest and learn a lot more. Because I don't know if you know him or not, Jeff Williams, but he is such a wealth of knowledge and just a history book just a walking history book. He really is. So it'll be really neat to have that addition to it. Again, free entry into our door prize. A lot of our vendors will donate items to our door prizes. So anybody that comes through the front doors, they get entered into it for free. There is no strings attached to it. We have all kinds of vendors. Like I said, there is really something for everybody with optics, OHVs, camo and apparel, fishing gear, trucks, firearms, archery, and more. I mean, there's some amazing wildlife photography. There's some jewelry that's going to be in there. But almost everything has an outdoor sportsman twist to it in one way or another. The jewelry might have elk ivory, jewelry with it is one of their items that they sell and make as well. So there is an outdoor twist on all of these different vendors. And there really is something for everybody. And we're really excited about it. And we want you to come out and join us.
Julie, it sounds like a fantastic time. And you're right. All you had to say was Williams Gun Collection. Everybody that I know and probably everybody listening knows Jeff Williams. And so happy to know that he's going to be there with even any amount of collection.
Yeah,
he's fantastic.
He really is.
Yeah.
The amount of knowledge that he has is just absolutely amazing to me. And I was telling one of his kids a couple weeks ago, I really hope he's writing all this down.
Yes, and that he's made arrangements so we can, because this really is an international type collection that people would travel from all over the world to see because of the history of the West in there. So,
it is, yeah. It's quite the collection.
That's great. So, Elko Sportsman's Expo, both Saturday and Sunday, free at the Elko Conference Center. Thanks so much, Julie. This is great. It really kicks off spring, too.
It does. And, this happens at a time when we're all kind of itching to get out. And sometimes the weather allows us to, and sometimes it doesn't. And a lot of times, even when we have these beautiful sunny skies and we start warming up in the afternoons, those roads out there, they've had so much moisture in them and they get so muddy that you take a chance of having some issues out there. So if you're not prepared, then you might have been better to just come and stay inside.
Yep. Come to the Sportsman's Expo.
But that Sportsman's Expo, we've got some great sponsors, Fifth Gear and Riverton. They have sponsored us almost from the start. And so they've been with us a long time. And then a new incoming co-sponsor is I Hunt Apparel, and they're out of the Reno area.
Nice. Well, thanks, Julie. That's just to get us started. We have pages of stuff to talk about.
We got a lot. We are busy.
Yes, and Hunter Ed is in full swing, and if you want to get out in the field, you've got to get these classes under your belt.
Yes, you do. Anybody 12 and over does need to have their hunter education certificate. We have lots of classes available. Some of them you may or may not be able to see online just yet. We typically don't let them be visible for registration until about 5 weeks out from the class, simply because that reduces our no-show rate. But you can go and find all kinds of classes, and it's not just for our area, it's for statewide. certified at ndowlicensing.com. And if you go in there, you find a Get Certified tab, and that's where you can start finding the different classes that are available. We've also got some plans on the calendar into the summer for an intro to 22 shooting, an intro to archery class as well, and a new arrow building class. And the way that that's going to work is you're going to bring your own actual shaft arrows, your arrow shafts, and then we're going to provide fletchings and wraps and all of that kind of stuff and show you how to build your own arrows for shooting. And it's our first time going with it, so we're looking forward to it and seeing how it goes, but look forward to that sometime in the summer.
It sounds like there's a little science in there with aerodynamics.
Yes, yeah, there's a little bit, yep.
Some style with some artwork. That's pretty cool.
Yep.
And speaking of cool, a way to get involved and to take the family out even as a volunteer.
Absolutely. You know, most of our volunteer projects are very family friendly, and pretty much anybody of any age can attend them. We've got one coming up, and it's one of our biggest ones that we do each year, especially during the summer, and that's the Eastern Region Guzzler Build. This is in coordination with us as well as the Elko Bighorns Unlimited. And we go out and we build a guzzler that benefits elk, mule deer, as well as other species that might be in the area using it. That is currently set for June 28th this summer. I don't foresee that changing. That's normally a pretty typical time for us to do that. This one's going to be in the Shell Creek Range. It's about 30 miles outside of Ely. Last year we had over 60 volunteers, and we're hoping to see that number again. Group camping, meals provided throughout the whole event. And again, it's family friendly. Even if, holding a shovel and digging in is too much for you, we can find other ways to put you to work. Or even if you've got the littles, again, sometimes the best things they can do is help us pick up rocks and put them around the aprons and all that kind of stuff. So if you are interested in doing this, hours and mileage contributed by our volunteers are incredibly valuable to us at NDOW. We receive federal in-kind match to fund future projects similar to this. So if you want to play along with us, we really encourage it. Give Nicole a phone call. Her number is 775-777-2388, and she'll get you all lined out on all the details and get you signed up as a volunteer.
And then what's this I see, Julie? Someone is interested in taking people fishing and learning more about angling?
We do a little bit of that. Yes, we
Cool.
do. Yeah. And if you're interested in learning more about angling, we've got a ton of different events that are coming up over the next couple of months. And we encourage you to keep your eye out for it and register and come and join us. We've got the free fishing day happening the second Saturday in June. We normally host two different events for that, one down in Ely and one at the Carlin Fishing Ponds. Angel Lake Kids Fishing Derby in mid-July. That's July 19th. We've got an intro to stream fly fishing happening this spring. We don't have an actual date yet for that, but we'll get that out, and you can watch our NDOW Facebook page and even go to our event calendar on our ndow.org to find out more. We also are planning an intro to bass fishing that will happen this summer, as well as an intro to float tube fishing. So we've got all different kinds of ways that we can get you out there and learning a new skill and maybe a new hobby and get you hooked. No pun intended.
I was just going to say, whoop, bump, bump, bump. But that's fantastic, Julie, because so many people move here. They're not confident about where to fish. Maybe they didn't grow up in a family that fishes. And if you didn't, that's sad because you miss out. But this way you can make some new friends. And as you said, because fishing for a lot of people, it can be exciting and thrilling, but it can also be relaxing.
Oh, that is my way to relax, is to just sit down and just let the worm sink and just enjoy the sun bouncing off of the water or the ice, whatever it is that I'm doing. And that is one of my favorite ways to relax. And one of the really cool things about a lot of these intro classes that we do is we provide all of the equipment for you. So if you're not sure what you're going to need, how involved you want to get into it, we're going to take care of that for you in the beginning anyways, to show you how extensive you do or don't want to go before you make the investment in there.
Thank you, Julie. And of course, the key to conservation is understanding where all these fantastic fish come from, and that's why we have education.
Yes, we do. We get a lot of that. So, and all of our volunteer instructors that we use for all of these, they are so knowledgeable, and it's really great because they have all of that behind them. And just another little plug. If you are somebody that would like to be a volunteer instructor for something like this, get a hold of us because we can definitely put you to work. We do volunteer instructors both for hunter, on several levels: hunter education, archery education, shooting sports, angler education, as well as wildlife education. And all of those are very valuable to us in all of our different programs.
I know a lot of students have done this, teachers in training, for example. It's really good experience because you can visit a classroom and get kids excited about ecology.
Absolutely. Yeah, we've got trout in the classroom. We're always looking for trout buddies, so that's how the volunteers roll over into that. In our wildlife education programs, we've also got that Know Your Nevada program, so it's really helpful to have volunteers that can go in and help with those classroom projects as well. But trout in the classroom, we've got 20 active classrooms this year. The eggs were delivered at the beginning of February, and they're already starting to plan their field trips for releases. And what happens is those kids, they've raised those eggs from eyed eggs to fingerlings, and they're going to take it out to one of our approved waters with, if not an NDOW staff member, then a volunteer representing us, and they're going to release them into that approved water. It's not a stocking program. It really is just an educational program, and that's just one of the final steps in it is those releases. If you've got something that you want to bring to your classroom, Nicole is always looking for additional opportunities. She's got availability with owl pellet dissections, some skins and skulls, track castings, as well as other things. Sometimes we can come up with kind of like a real, specific project for you as well. So if you've got something in mind and you want to give us a call, then we can probably come up with something to help suit your need. But you can give Nicole St. John, because remember, there are two Nicoles that I get to work with. And her number is 775-777-2391.
And NDOW is famous for the grab and go kits. These are little kits that you can take and age appropriate, right? I mean, fun for families to do as a project?
Absolutely. They are pretty, we try to make them across the board so anybody can enjoy them. And those grab and go kits, we started them a couple years ago. And basically we come up with an idea and we put all of the materials together for you, and they're free. You just come into the office and pick one up. And this month's kit, we still have several available, so you can come on into the Elko Endo office. That's at 60 Youth Center Road, and pick one up. But this one's a sensory river habitat aquarium is what it's got all of the materials for. Once in a while, there's a couple little things that we might have you supply on your own, but they're normally typical household items, any of the specialty stuff we provide.
And you can just pick those up in person, right?
Absolutely. Yep. Just come to the front counter at the office and let them know you'd like a grab and go kit, and they'll get you taken care of.
All right. Easy to look it up, but they're on Youth Center Road, just east of Elko.
Yes.
Yeah. All right.
Yep. East Idaho Street.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And speaking of, we were talking about fish, and there's nothing more thrilling than having a little kid tell you they come home from the classroom and their fish got eyes. Like, oh, our fish have eyeballs now. Isn't that funny? I've heard that story a couple of times.
Yeah.
So fisheries, this is, of course, we didn't get much of an ice season this year, but...
Not a bunch. And the only reservoir suitable for ice fishing right now is Wild Horse. Your other popular destinations like South Fork, Cummins Lake, Illapah, they did not grow or maintain any safe ice this year, so we highly avoid, are recommending you stay off of them unless you're doing open water fishing. All ice conditions in the White Pine County area are considered unsafe. And we expect that with the warming weather this week and next, any ice that is left is going to rapidly start melting off, and that's pretty much going to hold with a lot of our waters that are still have any ice on them. Even Wild Horse, which is, there are some areas that you really got to be careful with, and we'll talk about that here in a second too. But anglers, venturing out to the Wild Horse area, again, extreme caution. You're going to find slushy standing water and the ice with the warm water. And it can be extremely deceiving since there's also been areas of open water exposed, and that causes ice blocks that shift and pressure ridges start to form. Last weekend, we even had an angler fall through the ice along with a four-wheeler and a side-by-side. So it's really important that you're paying attention to those weather patterns, how the ice is being affected by it, and it's going to continue to melt as well with that warming weather.
Well, obviously it would have been a different story, but did the person get out okay, Julie?
I'm
or
not
do we
aware of
know?
all of the details,
Okay,
but
okay.
I'm assuming they did, because I haven't heard otherwise.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But wow, how scary. And then of course it's your responsibility to get the equipment out, and that's very expensive.
It really is.
I mean, I hear.
Yeah,
Yes.
depending on where it's at in the lake, I mean, if you're further out towards the middle, it's going to be quite the cost.
So be safe. Most importantly, just take care of yourself and your family and your pets, you know, because you don't want to lose a good dog out there either.
Yeah, got to be smart.
Yeah. So warm weather, that will increase, however, the fishing activity, though. I mean, bringing out certain fish.
Yeah. So trout, with the warmer weather, they're gonna start seeing more activity with them at waters like South Fork, as well as the marshes where they have the open water. So those might be some good alternatives to be a little bit safer with it.
All right. So just put that ice gear back in the garage, I
Yeah.
guess. Better luck next year.
Yeah.
And then a friendly reminder, again, we're hearing reports about, the deer, they can become aggressive in places like Spring Creek because people feed them.
They do, and they become, accustomed to it, and then they expect it. So it's really important not to feed the deer. That's actually a regulation, against that now. So you could potentially get fined for it if you go through the whole process and they keep, warning you and giving you warnings, verbal warnings, all those. And that includes even the unintentional feeding. And not so much on the regulation part of it, but the encouragement of not feeding them. So if you've got hay, any kind of feed source out there, do everything that you can to keep the deer from it. And that also goes with other wildlife, raccoons or even feral cats. I mean, you want to do what you can to exclude their access to it. So inappropriate feeds can be fatal to wildlife. Intentionally feeding big game is illegal, like we talked about, with those associated penalties. And if you need more information on it and what your alternatives are, you can give us a call at 775-777-2300, and we can kind of walk you through some of your different alternatives. Fencing is usually, if you get a good 6-foot fence, an exclusionary fence, that's a good way to keep them out. If like feed, horse feed, livestock feed, blocking them out of it, even using some Powder River panels that are tall enough that and small enough, sections that they can't get through it, and far enough away from it that they can't even reach it with, sticking their neck through there. So there are some alternatives out there.
All right. So get those friendly tips, of course, from Nevada Department of Wildlife if you need some good advice, or maybe you have a concern about something that's happening in the neighborhood, right? Big game period. It's also the time to start thinking about hunting in the fall.
It's already here.
Yes.
It is already here. Yes. Our application period begins March 24th, and the deadline we'll close it out at May 7th. The new big game seasons and applications book will be out online and in the hard copy pretty soon. We normally try to get them out around the beginning of the big game application period. So you should just be watching for that. Reminder, when you're looking at those seasons and those dates, quotas listed in those books and on the and in the app are really used as a reference. Those are last year's quotas. Our current year quotas won't be established until May 2nd and 3rd at the State Board of Wildlife Commissioners. So again, those quotas listed in the current seasons and app book, those are just a reference for what's upcoming.
That's when a lot of this information again starts coming in. It's being analyzed, Julie. So, a lot of surveys, for example, so that way these quotas can be set going forward. Okay.
Yeah, because they wait until all of they compile fall, winter, and then spring surveys to it to be able to make those really educated suggestions for the Game Commission. So they're actually getting started on their spring deer surveys now, and they'll continue that through the end of March. In general, winter has been relatively easy with mild temperatures in the area, and our water basins have received anywhere from 83 to 120%, 119% of the average water year to date. So our winter elk surveys, those wrapped up, and things looked really pretty favorable in the eastern region. Exceptional calf recruitment, and in most of the unit groups throughout the whole region. So biologists, they're also recently completed a collaring circuit working with a contract capture crew to sample and collar deer, sheep, mountain goats, and moose in the area. And the county has been the beneficiary of a lot of hard work by our Western region biologists, and they've been actively trapping valley quail at numerous sites throughout the Washoe, Story, and Churchill counties. Additionally, there's been some efforts by our Eastern region biologists partnering with volunteers to trap birds, and they've brought in about 650 to 7 valley quail that have been transplanted to 8 different release sites within the Eastern region to start new populations.
And it's important to note, Julie, that this is the culmination of months and months and sometimes years of work and study by scientists and biologists, collaborations with partners, counties, and communities. It's not just a whim. Someone goes out and says, let's get some bighorn sheep and put them over here.
There's a lot of planning that goes behind it. Absolutely.
Yes, yes. So again, if you do have questions or you need more information, you can always reach out and contact a biologist with Nevada Department of Wildlife or speak to someone directly, but just have confidence in the agency because you're trying to do the best for the species as well as for the surrounding communities.
Absolutely.
It's a balance.
It is.
So speaking of balance, operations, there are ways that people can best engage with NDOW, right?
Yes, absolutely. So with the upcoming big game application opening on March 24th, that's all done online now. And Google Chrome is really your best platform for getting into the ndowlicensing.com website, which is our application website. So it's really important that having that really solid platform for access will help things go a little bit smoother through the application process. You can come into the office to register your vessel for the 2025 year because it's happening. I mean, like I said, we don't have much ice.
Yep, it's coming off.
So it's gonna, open water season's here. We are coming into that boating season, and remember that when you're going to yard sales and those boats without a title, highly discourage buying a boat without a title. There's a lot of work that goes behind registering and titling a boat that you don't get a title with. So if you need more information on something like that, call the office. Natalie and Sydney are really knowledgeable, and they can help work you through the options. The front office number is 775-777-2300. Also, we don't handle OHV registrations. That is all done through the DMV. And we've got, bobcat, fox, and rabbit seasons. They're going to be ending on
today.
Today.
Yeah.
Today.
Wrapping it up.
Yep. We have one more bobcat sealing date coming in on March 10th. That's at the Elko office, and that'll be from 9 to 3. And if your license is set to expire, you're going to want to make sure that you've got that new one renewed if you're not already on the auto renewal. And you can purchase that online at a local vendor or in the Elko office.
Really easy to do that. It's a multi-purpose license, and it is for the full year. There's not, when you buy it, then it's good for the year.
It's a year to date.
Yes. Thank you for the right terminology there. And then obviously law enforcement wardens are out to keep it safe for everybody.
Yep. They've got a lot of fun jobs.
Yes, they do.
And one of the reminders that they want to throw out is, for those of you that are still doing some ice fishing, remember it is a maximum of a 10-inch hole. That is for your safety. So 10-inch max on that ice auger. Shed hunting is closed on all of the public lands in Elko, Eureka, Lander, Lincoln, Nye, and White Pine counties. That is a closure from January 1st and through April 30th. Once it opens back up, in order to be out there, you are required to have the new shed hunting ethics training certificate. That is a yearly renewal that needs to be done. And you should start seeing access to that here in the next couple of weeks to be able to get that done to start your shed hunting on May 1st. We've also got the OGT and the OGT phone number, which is 800-992-3030. And we've also got the NDOW Tip app. So if you're out and about and you see something that just doesn't seem quite right, feel free to call it in. And our game wardens and law enforcement will take it from there and see if it turns out to be anything. Don't approach people in the field if you feel like they're doing something a little sketchy. Just take all of the details and give us as much information as you can.
It can really be helpful. That's great advice, Julie. Thank you. OGT 1-800-992-3030 or go online and get the NDOW Tip app downloaded to your mobile device. And, this is cool too. The raptor surveys, hopefully we're hearing good things about our big birds.
Well, I know my route was very productive this year in
Great.
comparison to previous years. But yes, our raptor surveys, we just wrapped them up statewide. We're actually one of the few states that still continues this survey. We had 68 driving routes that ranged anywhere from 9 to 200 miles apiece. 80 surveyors. Nevada is home to over 27 raptor species. And you're able to pull the 2025 data into our current trend analysis with Boise State University. So we'll have 6 years worth of data to see how our raptor populations have actually been doing. So it's exciting to see how that's going to come back in and see what all of the different routes really pulled into it. And we'll make sure that you guys get that information when we get it finalized as well.
Wow, that's exciting. Raptors or eagles, hawks. I mean, and there's 27 different species.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's just what we actually viewed this year.
Oh my goodness!
Is how many different species
right
we
here
were
in
seeing.
Nevada.
Yeah.
Well, that's exciting and a reason to appreciate the work that NDOW does. It's a state agency. Most of your funding comes, through the licensing and the collaborations with the conservation groups. You guys run a really tight ship.
We got a lot of stuff going.
Yes, you do. You do. Well, and speaking of, as I know we're getting closer to the end of our half an hour, you're also keeping an eye on bats.
Yes, so we're conducting our annual white nose syndrome surveillance for bats, and that's for the hibernacula. That's a disease that's been documented in neighboring states, but we've yet to find it in Nevada, which is a really good thing. This year's our efforts are focusing on the western part of the state to get closer to where white nose has been detected recently in California. So we've got that going on. We'll look for some results for that here in another couple of months. With the division, we're also increasing survey time to document pinyon jay flocks. So if you see any, please report them to us. And that could be something that you can do through eBird. You can report it through eBird. You can give Mackenzie Jeffress at our local office a phone call. And even if you couldn't get a hold of her, you could just call the front office and they'll make sure that they get a message to her.
Yeah, they're very distinctive birds, and I would just be sad that if we didn't have them, Julie. So anything we can do, to help report those. If you saw a flock, that would be great.
It would be great.
Yeah, it would be great. So report that. Yep. And you can download pictures, obviously, and find out more about what a pinyon jay looks like and even what it sounds like. That's the great thing about the internet.
Yes, and eBird is one of the more of a document site, where you can actually document all of those sightings and everything. If you go to Merlin ID, you can see and hear, and they'll show you multiple different pictures of all the different morphs and colorations and all the different audio sounds that they might make, as well as the differences between male and female and juvenile. So there's lots of different ways that you can find some really great information. You can identify a bird by a sound. So if you're hearing one but not seeing it, it's got an audio section on it where you can just record that and it will tell you what it's pretty sure it's hearing. It's really an amazing app to be able to have out in the field with you.
Well, that's nice. Thanks for sharing that with us. I know I saw on social media Larry Heislip, a local conservationist and just nature lover and person who writes books. He heard the first meadowlark of the season, and so he says spring is coming.
I've been waiting for it, and I haven't heard one yet. I was thinking about it even this morning.
Yep. So those beautiful meadowlarks. Julie, thank you as always. Again, just another quick plug. We have a minute and a half or so of what's happening this weekend.
The Elko Sportsman's Expo. Come down and see us. There is something for everybody there. We've got lots of great food and beverages, lots of great vendors, all sponsored by Fifth Gear Power Sports, Riverton, and I Hunt Apparel. And it's co-hosted by us and National Wild Turkey Federation, the Ruby Mountain Rios. It's happening Saturday from 9 to 5 and Sunday from 10 to 2 at the Elko Conference Center. And it's free.
It's free, and there's a surprise around every corner, and you're going to meet so many nice people.
Yes, it's a great event.
So thank you for all your hard work, Julie, and everybody who works hard on the Elko Sportsman's Expo, and to all the sponsors who include Fifth Gear, Riverton, and I Hunt Apparel. See you this weekend at the Sportsman's Expo. Again, free admission at the Elko Conference Center. Julie, thanks as always for bringing your enthusiasm and all this great news about NDOW to the radio.
Thank you. Have a great weekend.